fix the view, because otherwise it's going to record weird. Thank you. All right, so today is Corpus Christi, which is basically when we celebrate the host. It's a big deal. I grew up Lutheran, so it's one of those things that's kind of mysterious for me. Anyway, I'm kind of getting off topic, but not really. The thing is, I wanted to cover this today from a slightly different angle than is usually done. So if you're looking for something a bit more conventional or traditional, there's a recording of Seven Hellers. Did one of his homilies on Corpus Christi is on the gnosis.org, so I'll give you a link if you want it later. Today I'm actually talking about the nature of sin, which in here is kind of, well, honestly, it's kind of a dirty word in general. It's become mostly because mainstream Christianity has this view on it, which is incredibly toxic in my opinion, and damages a lot of lives, and they either refuse to admit it or don't know or don't care. I don't know which it is. It probably depends on the person. Anyway, and the thing about language is that living languages, words change meaning over time. And I'm one of those people who normally I'm like, that's just part of people being people. Things change, words change. I'm not one of those purists, especially when you look at how grammar works in English. It's very much like, I think the saying is, it's like 4 languages in a trench coat. There's another saying that English likes to beat up other languages and take part of some part of, anyway, it's one of those things language nerds like to say, and I don't remember the end of it. Anyway, needless to say, I'm not usually one of those people, which is funny because I write a lot. But when it comes to sin, because of how much destruction that word has done, this is one of the few times where I'm like, let's go back to the start, because clearly things have gotten out of hand. Like, yeah. And so the word sin originally was an archery term that meant to miss the mark. And I've known this for years, but knowing something and having it visualized are two different things, especially since I'm kind of a visual person in general. And so I spent a bunch of time and I found an image of it that works for me. And it's basically a GIF of a target and an arch, and an arrow is basically going right by it, like this. And so if you think of it like that, that gives a whole different view on this whole sin thing. Because like, if we're taking it that way, technically my cat sinned this morning because she came in demanding pets, which normal cat behavior. And she had this streak of some sort of black, tarry substance. She had no idea, of course, because of cats. And I don't know what it is, where it came from. And rubbing it with a washcloth did almost nothing. And so, of course, I had to take some soap and water to her ear, because she somehow got it, like, on the side of her ear. And she hated it, so I had to stop before she... Well, I mean, she got me a little bit, but, you know, it's one of those... When the cat timer is done, it's just kind of done. So it's another thing I'll have to try and figure out when I get home, because it's tarry enough that I don't think she'll be able to get it off herself. So I'm going to have to help her with this. And there's no way she did this on purpose. I mean, she's an indoor outdoor cat. She does things. They come in with leaves and stuff. Usually this is the first. But yeah, she messed up somewhere. Whether she meant to or not, which she didn't because she's a cat. Let's be fair. And, you know, everybody does this. Humans, cats, dogs, whatever. I mean, yeah. And so this whole us needing to be saved from our own sins, we look at it from that point of view. To me, it doesn't make any sense. Because, like, messing up is part of life. I mean, our culture likes to do this whole thing where it's like, you know, you have to be perfect the first time. They don't say it like that. And you can't really mess up because it'll be on the internet forever or whatever. Like, there's this, like, gotta be perfect, and then like no one wants to do anything because you're not perfect the first time, you're kind of fucked. And life isn't actually meant to be lived that way, even though we keep trying to tell ourselves it is, because like, there's this thing that was running around the internet years back about how many free throws Michael Jordan has missed in his career, and it's more than most people will ever make in their entire lives. And like, if you look at batting averages of Major League Baseball players, they miss quite a bit. It's just part of the game of baseball. And so like, if you actually look at how life actually is, you realize that you have to mess up a lot before you get to being any good at things. And even then you're gonna mess up because humans are humans, we're not perfect. This world isn't designed for perfection. That's a misnomer and a myth and more damaging than good, honestly. And like, having something to strive for is a good thing. Like, you know, having, a goal or somebody who's better at you to look at, or like, I watch how-to videos on YouTube to learn how to do stuff. And anytime you do anything the first time is gonna suck, including things that people tell you you should be good at or not. Like art, you have to practice a lot before you're even good at it. You're not just talented or not. Some people, with some things, are naturally talented, and that's everything. But most people have to try a bunch until they're good. This is getting off topic, but it reminds me of a story I heard about this guy who was in a math class and wasn't doing very good. And he had missed the first part of class. And so he saw there's this equation on the board, and he thought it was the homework. So he wrote it down, went home, completed it, turned in the next day. He's like, here's the homework from yesterday. The professor's like, what homework? He's like, equation on the board. Turns out the equation was this equation that was impossible. Like, scientists have been trying to do it for years. No one had figured it out, but because this kid didn't know it was impossible, he just did it. And like, now he's a scientist who like does stuff for a living. So like, sometimes things are just, I don't know what the word for it is, but I think I've lost the thread a little bit. But the point is that success is a weird, windy thing, and screwing up is part of the process of getting there, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes you just rub into something and end up with black tar all over your side because you're a cat who likes going places that I don't know where the heck you picked that up. But again, life is complicated. There usually isn't one single answer for any given thing. And so like, I'm trying to wash the stuff off of my hands because I got all mean while getting out of the cat. And I'm just like, thinking about how this is a metaphor because I was still thinking about my home at the time. And like, traditional Christianity would probably be saying this is some sort of like, sin, it's sticky and it's hard to get off. It's like, this is just part of living life. Sometimes you have to get weird substances off of your pets. It's just, the fact that she decided to do this on a Sunday morning is annoying, but at least she didn't do it at like 5 a.m. before I had to go to work or something. Like, that would have been worse. So like, things in life happen when they happen. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, and sometimes you won't know until later, because if my cat hadn't run into whatever she ran into this morning, my howling would probably look a lot different this morning. So, yeah. Hopefully that was helpful at all. Yeah, I went a little more attentionally than I usually like in this. But anyway, if you have any more questions or comments or concerns or whatever, feel free to talk about it later. Happy to talk about any and all of this. So, with that, go in peace. May the Lord be with you.